Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping right into the Major League Baseball action from yesterday, June 24th, 2025. Our mission, as always, is to kind of peel back the layers on these games. We want to find those fascinating dynamics, extract those key insights, because June 24th, well, it wasn't just another day at the ballpark, was it? It really delivered the full spectrum of baseball's drama. We saw dominant shutouts that felt like, a pure strategy. And then these nail biting finishes that came down to, well, just one swing. We're going to revisit the highs, the lows, the triumphs, the tribulations, all the little things that might shape the season ahead. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's fascinating here is that yesterday's games, they weren't just a list of scores. It was a really illuminating picture, the tableau of team strengths, individual brilliance, and some really unexpected turns. For you, the listener, digging into these dynamics, it's not just about a recap, right? It's about getting those aha moments, those insights that clarify where teams really stand. Sometimes you see things that honestly might surprise even the most dedicated fan. Understanding the why behind these wins and losses, well, that gives you invaluable context for the rest of the season.
Okay, so let's kick things off with some of those truly dominant performances. The Baltimore Orioles shutting out the Texas Rangers, 6-0. That felt like a real statement win, didn't it? It wasn't just the scoreline, it was how they did it. What jumped out at you in that game? What made it so impactful?
That's a great question because it was a masterclass. Baltimore's starter, for instance, he didn't just neutralize the Rangers. He did it by consistently pounding the lower half of the strike zone, especially with his sinker. He generated this unusually high ground ball rate. I think it was around 70% in that game. And that just completely took away the Rangers' power alleys.
Yeah.
It forced them into all this weak contact, double plays. It felt like a very clear tactical adjustment. And it really exposed a vulnerability in what's usually a pretty aggressive Texas lineup.
Right. So it wasn't just like one guy having a great day. It was strategy, execution, capitalizing on the Rangers' known tendencies. Does that kind of precision, especially against a tough offense like that, signal something new for the Orioles this year? I think it absolutely suggests a new level of maturity and strategic depth for Baltimore. Definitely. They're not just relying on, raw talent anymore. They're showing this ability to dissect opponents, exploit matchups, this kind of dominant performance, particularly on the defensive side. It sends a message across the league. It says, look, you can't just try and power through our pitching staff. You need a more nuanced approach. It's almost like a blueprint for controlling those high-powered offenses.
Interesting. Okay, speaking of control, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they had their own big shutout, 10-0 over the Chicago White Sox. Now, okay, White Sox have been struggling. We know that. But does a win like that still tell us something specific about the D-backs and their current hot streak?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, even against a team that's having a tough time. The D-backs' success here, it wasn't just about Chicago's problems. It was their offense's plate discipline. That was really exceptional. I think they drew, 8 walks in the game? So they're forcing the White Sox pitchers deep into counts, making them work, and eventually, getting more hittable pitches later on. This patient approach, it's a big factor in their recent surge. It shows they can manufacture runs without just relying on home runs. And for them, look, it's not just a win. It's a big boost to their run differential, which, can be absolutely vital down the stretch in tie-breaking scenarios.
Good point. Run differential always matters. Okay, so from games where one team was really in the driver's seat, let's pivot. Let's talk about some offensive fireworks. The Seattle Mariners putting up 11 runs against the Minnesota Twins. An 11-2 final. That's a serious power display. What made their offense click so effectively?
Well, the Mariners' explosion, it seemed like it was built on attacking fastballs early in the count. Their hitters, they were clearly sitting on certain pitches, and when they got them, they just didn't miss. I think they hit 5 homers and 3 doubles as well. It's this aggressive but still selective approach. It really points to a team that's maybe finally gelling at the plate. They're finding their rhythm. For the Twins, yeah, it exposes maybe some weaknesses in their pitching staff's ability to locate quality fastballs consistently.
Yeah.
Or perhaps they need to adjust their sequencing a bit more, keep hitters guessing.
So it sounds like the Mariners hitters were just, reading the Twins pitchers really well. Like they knew what was coming. Did we see similar offensive breakouts elsewhere yesterday?
Oh, absolutely. The Los Angeles Angels, for instance, they beat the Boston Red Sox 9-5. That game also showcased some significant offensive firepower, particularly from the middle of that Angels order. And then you had the Washington Nationals beating the San Diego Padres 10-6. Another example of a team showing maybe surprising capacity to put up big run totals. In the Nationals' case, it felt like a real collective effort. Almost every starter, I think, had a multi-hit game. It signals that these teams, they aren't just relying on one or two big stars. They've got depth through the lineup, and that can be really dangerous. Right, depth is key. And then, of course, we got to mention the St. Louis Cardinals. 8-2 over the Chicago Cubs. National League Central showdown, always a rivalry. Putting up 8 runs against the Cubs, well, that sends a pretty strong message, doesn't it? It really does. It definitely underscores the Cardinals' ability to win inside their division. And it was particularly timely hitting from their cleanup spots that stood out. What was really noticeable was their ability to extend innings with 2-out hits. That's something they've actually struggled with at times this season. So this shows maybe a growing maturity in their offensive approach, which is, a key ingredient for any team looking to make a real playoff push. For the Cubs, well, it's a reminder. Even strong pitching staffs can be worn down by just relentless, disciplined at-bats.
Okay, now let's flip the script again. Let's turn to the other end of the spectrum, those nail-biting finishes, the close ones, where every single pitch felt huge. The Atlanta Braves edging the New York Mets 3-2. That felt like a classic rivalry game, intense the whole way through. What was the defining moment for you in that tight contest?
Oh, that Braves-Mets game, it really was the epitome of a division rivalry. Every out just felt magnified, The defining moment, for me anyway, was probably a crucial defensive play late in the game, I think the 8th inning. There was this diving stop by the Braves third baseman, just robbed the Mets of what looked like a sure game-tying hit. It's the kind of play that, it won't show up big in the headlines, but it absolutely saved a run. And it perfectly highlighted just how razor-thin the margins are in these big matchups. It really speaks volumes about the Braves' resilience, their ability to execute under immense pressure.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of play that can just deflate an opponent and really propel your own team forward. And we saw another hard-fought one, the Pittsburgh Pirates, 5-4 over the Milwaukee Brewers. What did that game reveal about where the Pirates are right now?
Well, the Pirates getting that victory, especially on the road against a tough divisional rival like Milwaukee, that was really a testament to their improved bullpen performance. They managed to navigate some serious late-inning traffic. I remember they escaped a bases-loaded jam in the 7th. That showcases a new level of composure, I think. This kind of win where they bend but don't break, it's incredibly valuable, especially for a younger team's confidence. It really signals their growing maturity in closing out these tight contests. They're learning how to win the close ones.
So what does this all mean? As we start to wrap up our look at yesterday's really captivating baseball action, it's clear June 24th was a day of pretty significant outcomes and some compelling narratives that, well, revealed a lot about where teams truly stand right now. We saw everything, didn't we? Dominant pitching performances like that Orioles strategic shutout you mentioned, then the offensive explosions like Seattle's patient yet powerful display. Some teams showed they could completely control a game, others showed immense offensive potential, and then you had those razor-thin margins in the close ones decided by maybe one defensive gem or just a moment of late-inning composure. Ultimately, yesterday felt like a microcosm of the whole season, really. A blend of expected outcomes, smart adjustments paying off, and those delightful surprises that, keep us all watching.
Yeah, and this raises an important question for you, the listener, to think about each game's results, right? Whether it's a resounding victory built on, say, a strategic nuance like Baltimore's, or a tough loss that exposes a key vulnerability. All of that stuff will ripple through the standings. It's going to influence strategic decisions for the next series, the ones after that, and it definitely shapes the narratives that are going to define this exciting 2025 season. These specific performances, these adjustments we saw just on June 24th, they'll undoubtedly be referenced, analyzed, discussed in the weeks ahead. So the question I leave you with is this. Based on these kinds of insights, these glimpses we got yesterday, which teams do you think showed us something that truly indicates they're built for a deep postseason run? Beyond just having a good record on paper right now.